This is the Agentic Executive. Today's briefing focuses on a key insight you can use to increase clarity, leverage, and decision-making power. The risk I want to start with is simple but underappreciated. Unchecked automation growth creates fragile systems that drain attention and knowledge capital instead of compounding value. In the next 10 minutes, I'll give you a compact framework, Agentic Portfolio Theory, to treat your automations like an investment portfolio so they amplify optionality rather than erode it.
Hook. Imagine 50 small automations launched over a year. Individually, they look useful. Collectively, they become a tangle of undocumented dependencies, overlapping responsibilities, and brittle failure modes. The result? You inherit operational debt that slowly reduces your decision bandwidth. The promise of this episode is practical, a 3-part portfolio discipline, and a short triage playbook you can run in 10 minutes.
Framing why portfolio thinking and not single project thinking. Because projects optimize locally, portfolios optimize systemic outcomes. When you move from evaluating one automation at a time to evaluating the set, you preserve optionality and reduce correlated failure. Put differently, a portfolio mindset treats your automations as assets with interactions, not isolated features.
Core insight. There are 3 portfolio primitives you must track. First, diversify payoff profiles. Mix steady yield automations that save time reliably with occasional high upside experiments. Second, measure correlation. Detect where agents share data sources, models, or business logic that would produce common mode failure. Third, budget for decay and maintenance. Everything drifts. Plan explicit upkeep so optionality survives. Each primitive reduces a specific class of risk, and together they preserve long-term compounding.
Let's unpack diversification and sizing. Think in terms of 2 buckets, dependable yield and optional upside. Dependable yield automations are workhorses, invoice parsing, routine alerts, report generation. They reliably free headcount and justify steady maintenance. Optional upside automations are hypothesis-driven bets, new recommendation engines, autonomous negotiation agents, high variance, potentially large returns. Sizing heuristic? Cap any single high variance automation at 10 to 20.
Practical rule of thumb. Allocate roughly 60% to steady yield, 30% to hedge or redundancy, and 10% to high upside experiments. Those percentages are a starting point. Adjust by domain volatility and engineering capacity. But the point is explicit allocation. Don't let experiments silently consume the same maintenance pool as dependable systems.
Next, correlation and systemic risk. Correlation hides in shared data pipelines, identical model weights, or centralized config stores. 2 automations that fail together are not independent. Treating them as independent inflates your expected value estimates. Detect coupling by mapping dependencies, running simple failure mode tabletop exercises, and quantifying overlap in inputs and decision logic. A quick test. If you remove a shared data source, how many agents break? That count is your shorthand correlation metric.
Measure correlation numerically where possible. Use a simple correlation score from 0 to 1. 0 meaning independent, 1 meaning identical dependencies. Multiply that into your portfolio risk model, so expected value reflects not just payoff, but the chance of simultaneous failure. Low correlation raises the portfolio's resilience. High correlation raises systemic exposure.
Now decay and maintenance. Agentic systems suffer predictable drift, model degradation, API churn, business rule changes, and knowledge rot where no one remembers why a rule exists. The antidote is an explicit maintenance budget line for each automation and a decay half-life estimate. Assign a maintenance score proportional to integration complexity and business impact, and plan for scheduled checkpoints, monthly for complex agents, quarterly for steady utilities.
A practical maintenance rule: any automation must justify its maintenance cost against ongoing expected value. If maintenance grows faster than benefit, sunset or simplify. And always require a living owner or team triage cadence. Passing an automation to the backlog is how knowledge capital dies.
Here's the 4-metric scoring rubric you can use right away. Expected value, conservative estimate of benefit. Risk, probability and impact of failure. Correlation, dependency overlap with other agents. Maintenance, ongoing cost and decay rate. Score each metric 1 to 10. Weight them to reflect your organization's priorities and compute a composite score. Use thresholds to triage. Composite below a threshold gets reviewed for sunset. Middle range needs hedging and guardrails. Top tier is candidate for scale.
Triage rules. If expected value is low and maintenance is high, sunset. If expected value is moderate but correlation is high, hedge by adding redundancy or isolating dependencies. If expected value and correlation adjusted EV are high, double down, allocate scale resources, and formalize ownership. Keep the rubric visible in your review meetings so decisions are fast and repeatable.
Rebalancing playbook. Short and operational. 1. Quarterly portfolio review with a 1-page dashboard. 2. For each automation, record the 4 scores and a single-line decision. Sunset, hedge, double down. 3. Enforce a maintenance reserve equal to X% of new automation spend. Treat it like debt service. 4. Automate the audit. Add monitoring that tracks both performance and maintenance signals, so rebalancing is evidence-driven.
Quick vignette to make this concrete. Imagine 3 automations. A, invoice router, steady yield. B, lead scoring model, high upside. C, data normalizer, used by both A and B. Scoring shows A has high expected value, low risk, low correlation, except with C. B has high EV but high model risk and high correlation via C. C has moderate EV but very high correlation impact. Decision: allocate maintenance to C explicitly to reduce correlation. Hedge B by adding a fallback scoring rule or human in loop. Keep A and consider scaling after C stabilization.
Action step. A 10-minute audit template you can run this week. List your top 8 automations, score the 4 metrics quickly, identify the top 2 correlation hotspots, and pick one candidate to sunset or simplify. That single execution will free attention and reduce systemic exposure. Repeat this audit each quarter to make rebalancing habitual.
Recap. Portfolio thinking preserves optionality. Diversify payoff profiles. Measure and reduce correlation. Budget for decay. Use the 4-metric rubric and the triage playbook to make disciplined decisions. Sunset, hedge, or double down. This framework is tactical and repeatable. Make it part of your governance rhythm, not a one-time exercise. If this briefing helped, subscribe to the Agentic Executive for daily intelligence that keeps your decisions sharp. You'll get short, actionable briefings designed for high-agency professionals. Stay agentic. Make your next move count.
You've been listening to the Agentic Executive. Apply what you learned today and make your next move count. Stay agentic.